Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a very quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollars as the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And yesterday we spoke, guys. Bitcoin had broken into this zone here. It was moving sideways, consolidating right around $4,000, just above 4,000, guys. And I pointed out yesterday two different things. Pointed out first the fact that we were just pushing up against a very strong resistance and actually in a couple different forms. Obviously, we could see that we had resistance here. I had this area marked off between 4120 and $4,000. So we knew that was going to be a resistance. But as I pointed out yesterday, guys, this was a logical area to go short. Even though I said I wouldn't necessarily recommend it in this market, it was very unpredictable. And if the bottom is in, really anything could have happened. That being said, I told you could make a very good case to go short here. The reason being, as I pointed out yesterday, guys, if we look at this overall structure and we go swing high, swing low, looking at our Fibonacci levels, we can see that we were just perfectly hitting right inside the golden pocket there. And that golden pocket is just between that 618 and 65 fib level. So we knew that this was going to be a very strong resistance, guys. I told you yesterday that if this thing was going to continue, I told you it'd be an extremely bullish sign if we had a decisive break above this level, which we have not yet gotten, and as of now we've gotten that rejection right there at that level as expected. I also showed you yesterday, guys, if we pull in here back into the 4-hour chart, zoom in here to look at our indicators here, I pointed out yesterday that we were seeing some very serious bearish divergence. Of course, we were looking here, we go point to point, price created a higher high, and if we go point to point on the same exact point on the histogram, price created a lower high. So clearly that was bearish divergence, guys, and was suggesting that price was going to continue, or price was going to be heading down. We also saw that bearish divergence on the daily chart in the form of hidden bearish divergence, guys, as I pointed out yesterday, as price was sitting down here looking point to point. Price was showing a lower high there. And of course, if we looked at the exact same points here, price was creating a higher high. Now that was on this was in an overall downtrend, even though we had this uptrend here. Remember, looking at the bigger picture, and kind of zoom out here, looking at the bigger picture here, we can see that this was an overall downtrend, and this was just kind of a correction to that overall downtrend on the higher time frame here on the daily. So looking at the downtrend, looking at the upside, I pointed out this was hidden bearish divergence, also telling us that we were very likely to correct here. So this correction here was absolutely no surprise at all, especially if you watched my analysis yesterday. And I told you yesterday, guys, that a pullback somewhere in the neighborhood of starting at around 3,800, possibly down to this zone right here, right in this area here, guys. I told you is what I was going to be watching, and it looks like it's respecting that very low. In fact, we had a perfect hit just now off that off of 3,800. As of right now, what was resistance is acting as support. Now we'll see. We haven't had a very strong bounce off that whatsoever, so it does look to me like there's a good chance that we may come back down, possibly testing 3,700, maybe even coming down to this 3,600 area here. And clearly, guys, I'm not a fan of Elliott wave at all in low volume markets, and this is a low volume market, make no mistake about it. That being said, guys, if you are, I'm just kind of looking at this very, very sloppy, kind of eyeballing an Elliott count here, guys. It looks to me, and again, this is just eyeballing it, but it looks to me like it'd be kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we'd be looking at an ABC correction right now. Now, again, I'm not a fan of Elliott wave and low volume markets, guys. I know some people are. I'm not, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt. But certainly, guys, we could be looking at something like an ABC correction somewhere along this line. So if I pull my fib again and look at this entire uptrend here, go swing low, swing high. What do I see? We can see that right just below 3,800, about 3,780, somewhere thereabouts. That's where price just is bouncing right on top of. That's the 382 fib level. And we can see the 50 coincides very nicely with this support down here between about 3,650, 3,700. So either of these two, guys, would make a very logical area for a bounce. Now, if we do break below 3,600, we do have the 618 fib level right here to catch as support. And coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, guys, in fact, it's not really a coincidence, but it is nice to see how Fibonacci levels coincide nicely with prior support areas, guys. Just goes to show you how amazing Fibonacci is. But we can see that the 618 fib is going to, just eyeballing it here, not only do we have the 618 fib here, but we can see it coincides very, very nicely with prior areas, prior order blocks. So in other words, prior area of resistance, which should act as support if we do end up having to break down there. Now, again, doesn't mean that will, just means, guys, that we do have some layers of support to get through before this thing does turn back around, and we may be looking at a 5 ways up ABC correction and then continuing to the upside, and we're just going to have to keep an eye on this, guys. That would obviously be the most bullish scenario, these counts. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, guys. Just means these are kind of things that I'm watching. These are things that I'm taking, that I'm keeping an eye on. Now, I told you yesterday, if you were looking for a quick scalp trade, possibly laddering in between 3,800 and this 37, 36.50 area is not a bad idea, guys. And we can see that we just bounced off that 3,800 now. So if you have started to ladder into that, guys, it's not a bad idea. Again, I'd go very, very small, and I wouldn't be, and this is certainly would not be any kind of a swing or long trade unless you're planning on holding for a year or more. This was just kind of a scalp trade, kind of in and out of the market, if you're interested. And again, not financial advice at all, guys, just kind of following up with what I told you yesterday. All right, looking at our moving average and exponential moving averages, guys, we can see that price did end up yesterday. We talked about this. We broke above. This is on the daily chart. We did break above this 21-day EMA, which on the daily chart is extremely relevant EMA to keep an eye on. Now, we have not yet had a candle open and close above the 21-day EMA, and that's typically what signals is a good. It's not the only signal, but it is a good signal of a shift in momentum. So if today's daily candle, even with this correction, if today's daily candle does close above the 21-day EMA, that'll be the first daily candle that we've had that both opened and closed above the 21-day EMA. And in my opinion, that'd be a very, very good sign of strength. Now, we'll wait and see if this ends up happening, plays out that way. But as of right now, guys, it looks like there's at least a good chance that we may close above that 21-day EMA. And in my opinion, guys, that would be a sign of strength. We'll just have to wait and see how this kind of plays out. If we come over here and we look at longs versus shorts, not much has changed. Longs slowly stacking here, but nothing, nothing to make up for the massive, drastic 32% loss in longs that we talked about yesterday. And if we come over here and we look at shorts, shorts have in the last 8 hours dropped off the board here just a little bit. Again, nothing too significant, but people are taking profit, which again, that is a sign of a healthy market. We have a lot of. It shows you there's not a lot of guppies in here, guys. We have a lot of people that are mostly probably experienced traders that are in the market right now, and they're just day traders that will take profit when they can. So when price came up, we saw longs drop, longs took profit, and as price is coming down, some people did enter that short position, more than likely that we were talking about right here, not because of my advice at all, but because they were seeing the same thing that I saw, and they probably entered into that short. As soon as that short dropped, they probably took profit, which again, good for them. But again, this is a market to day trade, not a market to hold in. Again, unless you're holding for the long haul, but this is not really a swing trader's market. So people are going to get in and out of their positions very, very quickly. And so that's kind of what you're seeing there. So longs versus shorts doesn't really tell us much of anything. Market makers, in my opinion, still have incentive to drive price up. Doesn't mean that they will. Doesn't at all mean that they will, guys. That's just one piece of the puzzle. But that is what shorts versus longs are telling us right now. Coming over here and looking at our volume, guys. Volume is dropping off a little bit from yesterday. Remember, it was at about 8.1 billion. We're down to about 7.2 billion total on the day. So a little bit of a drop off in volume, not too significant, and we would expect that after this nice little bull run that we've had here, guys. So I think this is going to be a very important correction. This is the first major correction we've had since prices started coming up, and I use major very, very loosely. This isn't a major correction at all, but this is the first decent correction that we would see from this nice little impulsive looking structure that we've had here. So let's see how this ends up playing out, guys. Let's see if we do find some support somewhere between, as I said yesterday, somewhere between about 3,650 and 3,800 is where I would be looking for that bounce. And let's see if that's what happens here. We already touched that 3,800, so it is possible that we could bounce, but we're not seeing a massive reaction. So it does look to me like we may come down here a little bit lower. That being said, guys, looking at the 4-hour, I pointed out the the bearish divergence yesterday, and today, and was forecasting this drop in price here. But right now we are seeing some signs of bullish divergence and hidden at that. So in other words, we've had, if we look at price here, point to point, obviously this has been in an uptrend here, but if we look at the bottom of this uptrend, we go point to point, obviously price created as of now has created a higher low, right? So if I come over here and I look at the exact same point to point on the histogram here, let me kind of blow it up so you can see a little bit better. There we go. And also on the RSI, again, same exact area, point to point. Obviously, price created the histogram and the RSI on the 4-hour created a lower low. So clearly that is divergence in an uptrend here. If we're looking at the bottom, that is hidden bullish divergence. In other words, with this would suggest that the price may go a little bit lower, but this would suggest that we are going to get a bounce sometime soon. Now, it may not be significant, and certainly we could get just a little reaction and then price continues to the downside. But again, it is one little piece of the puzzle to suggest that we may see a bounce somewhere here again between that area we talked about yesterday, between 38 and 36.50. Somewhere in that zone. So again, guys, if you're looking to enter into a swing and or scalp, or not a swing, but a quick day trade, something along those lines, not a bad idea to do that. Just make sure your stop losses are fairly tight, and make sure you're in and out, and do not get greedy. Whatever you do not get greedy. Personally, I'm sitting back and waiting, guys. I'm small swing trades here and there, small scalp trades, but I'm not taking this, guys. I'm out of the market for the most part right now, and I'm just kind of watching and waiting and monitoring to see what happens here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.